Good night, iTube. It's Abla, and I wanted to make this video because I see some comments online why I should not move to Africa from a so-called native-born African video saying that I'm trying to tell the life diaspora that they should not return to the continent. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm really speaking against is a mindset of the so-called Western world, really just the world. It's not just the West, it's a world. The world also exists and has colonized the continent. So what I'm really speaking against is the worldly mindset does not need to be perpetuated on the continent. It's nothing against the life diaspora because in reality we're all of the continent, us so-called black people, right? So in that video, I'm speaking against the worldly mindset, and I'm not saying the life diaspora should not return to the continent, but return and leave the world where you picked it up at. Same goes for me. I should leave the world where I picked it up at in the world. I shouldn't bring it onto the continent, right? And sometimes on the continent, the way I titled that video, Native-Born Africans, some of the native-born Africans who stayed on the continent try to bully the life diaspora once they return to the continent, gang up on them, and these women are carrying firewood on their spines. I kind of want to show them, but I'm going to show them. Is it possible? Let me see. No, it's not possible. Let me show them. So as I was saying, some of the so-called native-born Africans try to bully the life diaspora when they return to the continent, make it difficult, especially financially. They see the life diaspora as pound and dollars, even see me, and I know better than to reveal that I've lived in the world, because that makes the so-called native-born Africans, persons who never left the continent, they've been tainted as well. No one is exempt. People in the village are not exempt. These native-born Africans, including myself, anyone who has lived on the continent their whole life, the world has also colonized and tainted the continent. So I'm not exempt. The people in the village are not exempt, because even persons in the villages have this mindset where they wish they could get to the city. They wish they could get in the world. They want money. It's not that they live in the village and they're content and they're content with life and with the truth of reality. They want the world. So the native-born, so-called native-born Africans, persons on the continent, when the life diaspora moves over here, no one is exempt. The continent has been tainted. So the persons here who try and pretty much bully the life diaspora when they return to the continent, they're not exempt from judgment. They're not doing right. And even the persons, when it doesn't come to life diaspora, when it comes to business and capitalism, we can obviously see the Africans who have stayed on the continent welcome persons like Chinese and Indian and all these different types of persons that want to infect the continent with their capitalism, their business. Everywhere you go on the continent, there's construction, and you see Chinese construction, Korean, all these different things that are not so-called Africans. So the persons on the continent, native-born Africans who've lived here their whole life, they're not exempt. No one is exempt. No one is exempt. And no one is a gatekeeper of the continent. We all need to leave that worldly mindset where we picked it up at. And even those on the continent who allow all this capitalism and business to infect the land, to infect Eden, they're not exempt. So when you see that video, do not be discouraged, but know that anyone who has a worldly mindset, from the villager in the most remote village wishing to go in the city, wanting money, thinking they don't have enough, thinking reality is not enough for them, to me, who was born on the continent, moved into the world and returned to the continent, to the person who was not born on the continent, was born in Oklahoma or the United Kingdom, and is a so-called black person who wants to return to the continent. No one is above the other, because if we come with the worldly mindset, then we're all subject to judgment. If we come with that worldly mindset, no matter if you're born in a remote village, born on the continent, or born in Oklahoma, we're all subject to the same judgment. That's what I want you to feel when I speak. No one is above the other, right? That's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope that message was understood, and those who can cite will. Really just, no one is exempt from judgment. Like I said, from the remote villager to someone born in the UK. Someone who's still in the UK right now could have more of a pure heart and pure intentions than a villager who's lived in Africa, the so-called their whole life, right? I hope this is understood. Even there's been a great fall, there's been a great fall, and I hope we can all cite that, and I hope we don't, we're not against each other. When I say don't move to Africa, I'm not against you, I'm against the world. I'm against the worldly mindset. Don't bring that to the continent. No one bring that to the continent. Even those on the continent need to purge themselves of that. And if they're not able to purge themselves of the world, then they will collapse with the world. Okay, that's what I wanted to say today. Hope everyone has a blissful day. I really wanted to show these strong women carrying firewood on their spines, but I didn't want to, invade their privacy. It's kind of a thing of like, we picked up this thing in the world of like gawking at each other. This is a side note, but like, we like to gawk at animals. We see like, wow, it's so cool, gawk at other humans. Like, we don't need to do all that. So I didn't want to show them. I did pause the video real quick to try and show them, but I decided against it. I hope this is understood, like I said, and I welcome all so-called black people to the continent. If you can remove, no, I know we can, when you remove the world from your heart and live in reality and cite reality and leave all that development and all those things to leave out. So, hope this is understood. Maybe there'll be a part 2 to this video, and I hope even some so-called native-born Africans cite this and realize we don't need to try and get over on the life aspera, try and trick them when they return to the continent, trick them for money, anything people think. Try and trick the life aspera all the time, trick them for land, tell them you could get land for this much, tell them because you speak a different language on the continent, you can try and speak about them in one way and then speak English saying a whole different thing. It's crazy the way we are against each other, and we're all black people, so-called black people. We don't need to behave like that, right? What we all need to be against is the world and that worldly mindset, because like I said, if you want to hold on to that, then you can be a part of the collapse. And judgment is not a bad thing. It's a cleansing, and if you need to be a part of the cleansing, then that's your fate, and that's fine. We don't need to run from our fate. So yes, hope everyone has a blissful day. Guide eye.